Florida is currently undergoing a transformation that no one is talking about, but everyone can feel within the geography of America. Cities in Florida are not growing. They are practically merging with each other. From Miami to Orlando, Tampa to Jacksonville, an area spanning thousands of square miles now looks like a single giant metropolis. So how did this happen? And is why Florida is turning into one giant city? Population growth, the spread and proliferation of suburbs, and the merging of transportation corridors have contributed to this. So much so that today, it is difficult to discern where one city ends and another begins. In our video, we'll learn how Florida grew so rapidly, why cities are connected to each other, what this massive transformation means for the state's future, the problems that arise with growth, and more. Is Florida truly America's new megacity? Before we get to the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts on Florida's transformation into a major megacity. If you're ready, let's get started. First, let's learn how Florida has transformed from history to the present day. Let's go back to the 1950s. At that time, the state of Florida was a quiet, rural place in the southern United States, covered with swamps, pine forests, and farmland. At that time, Florida's population was only 2.7 million. It was even smaller than the populations of Kentucky and Alabama. The cities of Miami, Orlando, and Tampa were not the huge metropolises they are today. They were small regional centers surrounded almost entirely by empty land. During those years, the state of Florida had become a place to avoid for the rest of the American continent. Extreme heat, high humidity, mosquitoes, and transportation difficulties had contributed to this situation. However, several critical events occurred that changed everything. The widespread use of air conditioning in the mid-20th century was the first of these critical events. Thanks to air conditioning, Florida's geography became livable year-round for the first time. The state of Florida had now become a permanent place to live all year round. The second critical event was the development of the interstate highway system in the United States. This highway system connected the state of Florida to the rest of the country. It provided access to the vast open spaces between cities. Wherever the highways went, suburbs soon began to spring up. The foundations of what we now call Florida urban sprawl were laid precisely during this period. The third critical event was the retirement migration to Florida. Millions of retired Americans living in the Northeast and Midwest began escaping cold winters and moving to Florida to live. Florida experienced population growth. All these critical events are the answer to the question, why is Florida growing so fast? But the real reason is that tourism and the service economy have permanently changed the state's destiny. The opening of Disney World in Orlando turned the state of Florida into a global tourism hub. This was followed by the opening of hotels, highways, shopping centers, and large entertainment complexes. These developments led to the growth of the tourism economy. As the economy grew, the need for labor increased. As the labor force grew, cities began to expand. As growth increased, so did the population. Florida's current population exceeds 23 million. It is at this point that the modern transformation of the state of Florida begins. Cities are no longer just growing. They are moving towards each other. This brings us to Florida's current state. It shows that it is not a state made up of separate cities, but that the cities are connected to each other. When you look down on the state of Florida, you see that it doesn't appear as individual cities, but rather as a continuous sea of light. You can also see this from satellite images. Looking at the images, there is almost no darkness between Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. City boundaries still exist on paper, but they have been erased from Florida's geography. Until 20 years ago, open fields, swamps, and farmland stretched between these cities. Today, these gaps have been filled with suburbs, shopping corridors, highways, and new residential areas. Florida has quietly become one of U.S. megacities experiments. The most obvious place to see this transformation is the South Florida urban corridor. As you drive north from Miami along a 95, it becomes almost impossible to tell when you've crossed from one city to another. The signs change, but the development never ends. Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach have now become a single giant metropolitan area. Today, more than 6 million people live in this megaregion. It is the 6th largest metropolitan area in the United States. This region is no longer a group of cities, but a true megaregion. However, this is not unique to South Florida. A similar situation is occurring in Central Florida. The city of Orlando is one of the fastest-growing major metropolitan areas in the United States. Growth that began with tourism has now turned into suburban sprawl in all directions. To the northeast, Orlando extends toward Daytona Beach. To the west, development is progressing toward Tampa. The distance between these two cities is shrinking a little more each year. The I-4 corridor connecting Orlando and Tampa is Florida's busiest and fastest-growing transportation network. New residential projects, logistics centers, and commercial areas are being built along the I-4 corridor. The Orlando-Tampa megaregion will soon be formed. Florida's cities are now connected not only by highways but also by high-speed rail. The best example of this is the Brightline high-speed train project. Thanks to the Brightline project, it takes only minutes to travel between Miami and Orlando. Urban sprawl is incredibly excessive in Florida. As a result, Florida's cities are merging. With cities merging, we can now refer to Florida as a megaregion. Urban sprawl in Florida is incredibly excessive. New roads, subdivisions, cities, and shopping centers are being built. This is a success story. However, there is also a dark side to this growth. This dark side first appears every morning in traffic. Florida has traffic congestion. This is a problem caused by overpopulation. The highways of the state of Florida are now not only busy, but constantly jammed. In cities like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Tampa, drivers spend dozens of hours stuck in traffic every year. We call this the I-4 corridor traffic. It is considered one of the worst highways in the United States. Another dark side is housing. There is a housing crisis in Florida. Due to the effects of growth, housing prices in Florida are extremely expensive. Housing affordability in Florida is more expensive today than in the past. The median housing price in Miami was approximately $180,000 in 2012. But today it is over $550,000. During the pandemic in particular, the state of Florida experienced one of the fastest housing price increases in U.S. history. Another problem with population growth in Florida is the development of natural areas. The reduction of natural areas disrupts the balance of the ecosystem. If this continues, the state of Florida will be covered in concrete, and there will be no green natural areas left. Once filled with swamps, pine forests, and small towns, Florida has now become a single megaregion, where cities blend into one another, highways stretch endlessly, and lights never go out at night. This growth has made the state of Florida one of the strongest economic centers in the American geography. However, it has also led to traffic and housing problems. At the same time, it has reduced natural areas. Do you think this transformation will make the state more livable or turn it into a place that is increasingly difficult to live in? Don't forget to share your thoughts. Why did Florida undertake such a massive project costing billions of dollars? Why was a road that seems almost impossible to build by human hands constructed in the middle of the ocean? If you're curious, you can watch the video on the screen.